I'm a fat loss coach living in America, and every day I'm seeing the very real impact that GLP-1s are having on people's lives. For some people, they are absolutely transforming their lives for the better, whereas for others, they're just creating a whole new set of problems. And the outcome almost always comes down to the way in which you use the medication, as well as the habit and mindset changes that you put in place alongside it. So if you're someone who is on a GLP-1 or you're considering using one, then make sure you give this video a watch, because I'm going to take you through what my most successful clients are doing to not just lose the weight, but also keep it off long term. And that is super important, by the way, because research has shown us that the regain rates after coming off GLP-1s are incredibly high. In fact, one study showed that more than 80% of people regained at least a quarter of the weight that they had lost within a year of stopping. And what is the point of going through the effort of losing weight if you're only going to go back to square one within a few years? I'm also going to explain how you can minimize some of the potential negative side effects associated with GLP-1s, such as muscle loss, low energy, and nutritional deficiencies, so that you can use the medication as a tool to genuinely improve your health and quality of life and build a strong, lean physique you're actually happy with, rather than simply just chasing a lower number on the scale. Because, spoiler alert, weighing less doesn't automatically lead to feeling more confident, happier, or healthier. So without further ado, here are the 8 things that I would do as a non-negotiable if I were on a GLP-1 and wanted to guarantee the most successful and long-lasting results possible. And by the way, if you'd like my GLP-1 success checklist so you can make sure that you are in fact doing all the right things alongside the medication, then click the link in the description to access that right away. Oh, one more thing before we get into it. Make sure you hit subscribe, because I've got so many more sustainable fat loss videos coming your way, and I really would hate for you to miss out. Number 1, set yourself some sensible nutrition targets. What a lot of people do, or at least expect to do, is to basically start taking GLP-1s, experience a significant decrease in appetite, and just eat next to nothing, happy days, boom, lots of weight loss. But the problem with that is undereating can cause a huge new set of problems, right? It can lead to nutritional deficiencies, and those nutritional deficiencies can lead to low energy, muscle loss, weakened immunity, digestive issues, changes to your menstrual cycle, poorer bone health, and generally just feeling pretty rubbish. Also, not everyone on GLP-1s will have a significant appetite decrease. It's possible, especially if you're on a small dose, or if you're someone who isn't very sensitive to GLP-1s, that you will still have cravings. You will still have a desire to overeat sometimes, albeit probably less than before. So setting yourself a few key nutritional targets can really just help to make sure that you are eating the right amount and you're not undereating or you're not overeating. So here are the 3 things that I would focus on. Number 1 is calories. So that is basically the amount of energy you are consuming every day. You want to make sure that you are eating enough to nourish and energize your body, but while still creating a calorie deficit. And if you're wondering how the hell do I calculate a sensible calorie target, then I've actually linked below my sustainable calorie calculator. So use that. It will take you less than a minute to fill out, and that will give you a very sensible target. The second thing to focus on from a nutritional perspective would be protein. So this is essential for maintaining muscle mass as you lose weight, whilst also supporting recovery from workouts. And it also helps you feel more satisfied from your meals. So I would aim for 1.6 to 2 grams per kilo of body weight per day, or use your goal body weight if you're carrying a significant amount of excess fat. And the third thing here is fiber, which in my opinion is the unsung hero of dieting. It's important for your digestive health, your gut health, regular bowel movements, and where it really helps with fat loss is it keeps you fuller for longer. It's very satiating. And as a bonus, foods that tend to be high in fiber also tend to be high in vitamins, minerals, and other beneficial nutrients, winning. And that's why fiber is just a top tier nutrient. Women want to be aiming for around 25 to 30 grams a day, and men want to be aiming for more like 30 to 35. And a bonus thing to focus here when it comes to your nutrition is drink enough water. It's super simple, but staying hydrated will support your energy levels, your digestion, and your overall health. And it can be especially important if you're eating less food and therefore getting less fluids through your diet, because you really don't want to dehydrate. A simple rule of thumb would be 40 milliliters of water per kilo of body weight per day. Okay, my second non-negotiable would be to eat foods that you genuinely love every single day. This is what everyone forgets to do, right? But it is so important that when you're dieting, you still eat enjoyable foods. Everyone thinks that they need to go into mega restriction mode. But the thing is, this just feeds the all or nothing mindset, which is the mindset that is keeping everyone stuck, right? So rather than seeing your journey as something you're either on or off, like a light switch, I want you to embrace the middle ground, a dimmer switch, because that is really what's gonna help you to stay consistent and avoid binges. So if you really love chocolate, then have a few squares of chocolate every day. If you love crisps, have a packet of crisps every day. And if you love wine, yeah, Have a few glasses of wine a week. Obviously within moderation, and we still need to make sure that we are hitting those nutritional targets, especially calories. But by doing this, you are essentially already practicing a life that you can sustain for the long run. Rather than doing something super restrictive in the short term, that will only unravel as soon as you come off the GLP-1. Okay, third non-negotiable is to plan your response to days that don't go to plan. This is another really important one for just helping you to avoid succumbing to that all or nothing way of thinking, which again, I can't emphasize it enough. It does rear its ugly head a lot, and probably it's the number one thing that I see keeps people stuck and in a bit of like a negative cycle on a fat loss journey. If you have struggled with your weight for a while, I would put good money on you being familiar with this pattern. You eat something that you hadn't planned to eat, like a bar of chocolate, you feel like you've ruined your progress, so you hit the fuck it button and decide to continue eating in a way that just does not align with your goals until the next logical time to get back on track, such as Monday. Am I right? Now, if that is familiar and you're not doing anything about it, then that on-off pattern will always hold you back. Whereas if you can understand that one indulgent meal or moment or even day won't undo your progress and get back to your normal habits as soon as you possibly can, you will keep moving forward. The people getting the best results have great, what I like to call bounce back ability. And to have great bounce back ability, you need to have a bit of a plan in your pocket, like a go-to plan of action for those days that inevitably don't go to plan, for those days where you have the chocolate bar, the extra glass of wine, the bigger portion for dinner, right? Rather than hitting the effort button, eating like a famished warthog for the subsequent few days, just get straight back to it. And if you plan that in advance, if you know exactly how to do it, it's gonna be so much easier. Number 4, lift weights. Okay, this is a true non-negotiable. I can't emphasize just how damn important this is. Okay, as a rule of thumb, if someone loses weight without resistance training, around 20 to 30% of the weight loss may come from lean mass, meaning you could lose a significant amount of muscle. Okay, so when we're losing weight, we want 100% of that weight to be body fat. We do not want to lose any muscle mass. Ideally, we want to build it alongside the fat loss. So this is a terrible, terrible thing if it does in fact happen, because it will leave you feeling weaker, it will increase your risk of falls and fractures, and just contribute to poorer bone health and osteoporosis. Not to mention that it will reduce your mobility and your independence with age. Oh, and if we're speaking purely from an aesthetic point of view, you're gonna look softer, saggier, and definitely not toned, defined, or strong. You know what I'm saying? So also, people rarely consider this, but imagine if you lose a load of weight and a significant percentage of that comes from muscle, right? Imagine that happens because you haven't eaten enough protein, you haven't lifted weights. So let's say you lose 20, 30% of muscle mass. Then let's imagine, again, you're in the majority of people who regain that weight eventually. And the thing is, the weight that you regain is gonna be fat, right? So that means if that happens, you're not just back to square one. You could end up with a worse body composition than when you started, because you're the same weight as when you first started, but you have more body fat and less muscle mass. Disaster. So this is why strength training during a weight loss journey is so, so important. Whether you're on GLP-1s or not, lift the damn weights. You don't need to do loads. 2 times 20 to 30 minute sessions a week is enough to maintain muscle. And if you have no idea where to get started with that, I actually have a link in the description to my free 8-week strength program suitable for beginners or intermediates. All you need is a pair of dumbbells, and it's gonna be a really simple, straightforward way to get started. Number 5 is to keep your overall activity levels high. A lot of people solely focus on exercise when they're on a weight loss journey, and while that is great, let's say you do like 3 45-minute workouts a week. That's less than 3 hours a week out of the 100, I think it's 168 hours in a week. That's a tiny, tiny percentage of time that you are staying active. So if that's your only focus, your activity levels are still gonna be very low on the whole. And the answer here is not to do more workouts or more intense workouts, but it's actually just to move your body more throughout the week so that you're basically spending less time sat or lying down. And the easiest way for the majority of people to do that is simply to do more steps. Ideally at least 8,000 steps a day, because that is where the studies suggest we get our peak health benefits from. But more is definitely encouraged from a fat loss perspective. Just to put that in perspective, let's say that you're doing 4,000 steps a day currently. If you were to increase that to 8,000 steps, you're probably gonna be increasing your overall calorie burn across the week by about 1,500 to 2,000. Obviously that depends on your body weight, your pace, and other factors. But that just shows how much easier it is gonna be to lose fat and then maintain it in the long run without having to go to the gym and absolutely kill yourself on the treadmill or go to a HIIT session that you dread, okay? Just move your body for a longer amount of time across the week in a low intensity, low barrier way, and you'll be sweet. Number 6, don't rush the process. Goal isn't to lose weight as quickly as possible. I'll say it one more time. The goal is not to lose weight as quickly as possible. The goal is to lose it in a way that you can actually maintain in the long run. A slower, more sensible approach gives you the best chance of preserving muscle, of recovering well from training, and feeling your best throughout the process. It also gives you time to build the habits that will keep the weight off long term after the diet ends. That's why it's really important to stick to your nutrition targets as closely as possible, even if your appetite makes it challenging. Eating significantly less than planned, like aiming for 600, 800 calories a day, might feel like it's speeding things up, but it can actually really backfire by increasing muscle loss, reducing performance, and making the whole process much harder to sustain. The majority of people who aim for a super low calorie number will actually lose less weight over time than someone who sticks to a more kind of reasonable and doable number, because the one aiming for less would be very unlikely to stick to it for very long. So it's all about what can you adhere to for a long period of time. And spoiler alert, for the majority of people, it's not going to be 800 calories a day, even on a GLP-1. Number 7, be realistic with your scale weight expectations. I don't want to demonize the scales because they can be a helpful way to measure weight loss, but they need to be used in the correct way and with the right expectations. You see, the scales are measuring your overall body weight, not just your body fat levels. And because of that, your scale number will fluctuate up and down every single day, even if you've done everything right. And so many things will impact this, by the way. Your cycle, a salty meal, a carby meal, a hard workout, if you've been traveling, stress, or simply if you have more food in your system that has yet to digest. So the key thing to remember is that a sudden increase on the scales does not mean that you've gained body fat. In fact, it's less likely that it's a body fat increase, because increases in body fat just don't happen that quickly. So if you step on the scales and you've put on a kilo overnight, we know that's not sudden body fat gain. We know that is going to be water weight. It's temporary. It's not a big deal. But if you do freak out and you panic and therefore drastically change what you're doing, then that is going to set you back. That is going to be an issue. So stay calm, trust the process. And actually what I would do is weigh yourself daily, because then you can sensibly assess the trends over time, rather than obsessing over the day-to-day number and freaking out every time it spikes, which it will, by the way. As I say, even if you've done everything right, we will see a lot of sudden, drastic ups and downs, and that's completely normal. Most people's body weight is always within a sort of 2 to 3 kilo range, right? We're always fluctuating within that 2 to 3 kilo range. So when we want to lose weight, what we're actually doing is reducing that range over time. And on this, I would also really try and hone in on your non-scale victories. So any positives, any great things that are coming from the journey that have nothing to do with the scales. So things like getting stronger, having more energy, sleeping better, improved fitness, better blood markers, clothes fitting better, because these things are, first of all, just as important as the number on the scales, if not more important. And they're going to keep you motivated. They're going to keep you going, even when the scales aren't playing ball. And number 8, final one, treat maintenance as part of the journey. At some point, you're going to get to your goal weight. Hurrah. But here's a mistake that most people make and why they eventually regain the weight. They think that once they lose the weight, they can just stop paying attention to their diet and go back to old habits and they'll stick at that weight. Not going to happen. The thing is, the habits that you're building now, like hitting your protein, staying active, strength training, eating mostly whole foods, being more mindful, having a better mindset. These are the same habits which will help you to maintain your results. The only real difference is that you will gradually eat a little bit more food to match your new energy needs. So the key is to view maintenance as the next phase of this journey, of this new lifestyle that you've built for yourself, rather than a free-for-all where you can kind of just ditch all of these habits that you've built and go back to your old ways, because that approach is what's going to help you to keep the weight off for good. And that's another reason why it's really important to focus on the non-scale victories, because if you realize what all of these habits you've put in place are doing for your life outside of fat loss, you'll be really incentivized to keep them up for the long run. You'll realize how much of an impact strength training and moving more and taking care of your diet has on things like your energy levels, your sleep quality, your confidence, and you'll be way more motivated to carry them forward, because you realize that health, happiness, and confidence does go far beyond the scale number. So yeah, those are the 8 things I would do to have the most successful possible GLP-1 journey. Remember, GLP-1s can be an incredibly powerful tool, but they're exactly that, a tool. They are not magic. They can make fat loss a lot easier, but they don't replace the habits that determine whether weight loss stays off long term. If you use this opportunity to improve your nutrition, build muscle, become more active, and really change the way that you think about food, you're not just losing weight, you're building a healthier, stronger body and a lifestyle that will support those results long after the medication has stopped. And if you'd like a simple checklist covering everything that I've spoken about in this video, click the link in the description to download my free GLP-1 success checklist. It will just help you to make sure that you are actually ticking all the important boxes alongside the medication. You'll also find in the description my free calorie calculator, which will help you to work out a sensible calorie and protein target based on your body and your goals. And finally, if you've been struggling with fat loss for years and it still just doesn't feel easy or something that you feel confident with, and you know that you'd probably benefit from having someone in your corner to guide you through the process, to keep you accountable and help you build that body and that lifestyle that you genuinely love. And I've also popped a link in the description to apply for one-to-one online coaching with me. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you hit the subscribe button because I've got plenty more videos on sustainable fat loss coming your way, and I'll see you in the next one.